Have you ever felt that something or someone was trying to speak to you but not in words? A flicker of light when you were deep in thought, a sudden, inexplicable sense of peace during chaos, numbers that repeat themselves with haunting precision: 1, 11, 2, 22, 3, 33. Most people dismiss these as coincidences, but in truth, these are whispers from the higher realms, the subtle traces of a forgotten communication between humanity and the divine. Throughout the ages, mystics, prophets, and sages have spoken of a celestial language, the tongue of light through which angels commune with creation itself. In ancient Kabbalah, it was called the language of the Sephiroth, a vibration that bridges heaven and earth. In early Christian mysticism, it was known as the Angelus Vox, the voice of the angels, carrying divine will into the hearts of men. And in the occult traditions of the Renaissance, alchemists like John Dee sought to recover it under the name Enochian, the lost speech of beings who existed before the fall of man. But here lies the mystery. This language is not spoken through the mouth. It is encoded in symbols, numbers, synchronicities, and vibrations. It is the language of consciousness itself, the resonance through which your higher self, your guardian spirits, and the angelic hierarchy communicate with you. In this video, we will explore the hidden origins of this celestial language, its role in ancient spiritual systems, its structure as a vibrational code, and how you can begin to understand and use it in your own life. Because when you learn to listen not with your ears, but with your soul, you begin to understand what the angels have been trying to tell you all along. The idea that angels possess a distinct, sacred language is not a mere product of fantasy or religious art. It is one of the oldest threads woven through humanity's spiritual memory. Long before organized religion gave them wings and halos, the ancients believed in beings of pure vibration intelligences that existed between matter and spirit, shaping creation through sound and light. In the earliest known civilizations, this belief was embedded in their understanding of the cosmos. The Sumerians spoke of the Anunnaki, celestial messengers who descended from the stars, bearing knowledge of the divine order. They taught that every sound uttered in reverence could bridge the human world and the unseen. Their hymns, carved into clay tablets, were not only prayers, but vibrational codes, frequencies, designed to summon divine presence. Centuries later, the Egyptian priests carried this idea further. They believed that words themselves were alive, that to speak a sacred name was to invoke the essence of what it represented. This was the principle of Heka, the creative power of sound. Their hieroglyphs were not mere letters, they were symbolic vessels through which spiritual forces could be directed. In their temples, chants were meticulously tuned to specific tones, believed to resonate with the language of the gods, the Neteru, what we might now call angelic frequencies. When we turn to the Hebrew mystics, we find the same pattern, refined to astonishing precision. The Kabbalists taught that the universe was formed by the divine utterance of 22 sacred sounds, the letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Each letter, they said, was an angelic vibration, a building block of existence. The language of angels, in this sense, was not a separate speech, but the very mechanism through which reality was sung into being. In early Christianity, this wisdom was reinterpreted through the lens of divine hierarchy. The theologian Pseudo-Dionysius described angels as intermediaries who transmit the light of God through symbolic speech, suggesting that all divine revelation passes through coded patterns of vibration. Even the notion of tongues of fire at Pentecost was seen by mystics as a glimpse of this higher communication, the soul momentarily aligning with the pure resonance of heaven. But it was in the 16th century that the Western world attempted to recover this lost celestial language. The English Magus Doctor John Dee, along with his scryer Edward Kelly, claimed to have received direct communication from angels. Through complex ritual and trance, they recorded what became known as the Enochian language, a mysterious alphabet and syntax said to predate all human tongues. To Dee, this was not superstition, but science. He believed that each letter represented a frequency, a harmonic link to the architecture of the universe. Though scholars still debate its authenticity, the Enochian system mirrors what nearly every ancient culture taught. The divine intelligence expresses itself not in human grammar, but through vibration, geometry, and resonance. Across all traditions, from the Vedic mantras that call upon celestial beings to the Islamic huruf al-muqatta'at, the cryptic letters opening certain Quranic chapters, there runs one golden thread. That sound, symbol, and consciousness form a universal code. To learn the language of angels is not to memorize words, it is to perceive this code operating in your own life, to sense how the divine speaks through pattern, synchronicity, and intuition. And to begin to understand that code, we must first explore what it is. To understand the secret language of angels, we must first abandon the notion that it can ever be spoken in the ordinary sense. It is not a language of words, but of vibrations, a living field of energy that exists beyond syntax and grammar. Each word we speak is merely the echo of a much greater resonance that originates in the unseen. The ancients knew this well. To communicate with the divine, one had to attune, not articulate. Imagine for a moment that existence itself is a great symphony, each being, each thought, each emotion, a note in the cosmic orchestra. Angels, in this analogy, are not individual beings with wings, but harmonics of divine consciousness. Their speech is vibration, frequency modulations that carry meaning directly into the soul, bypassing logic entirely. When mystics throughout history claimed to hear angels, what they experienced was not an external voice, but an internal alignment with this higher resonance. The language of angels operates on three intertwined levels: vibration, symbol, and synchronicity. 1. Vibration, the soundless sound. Every tradition that ever spoke of angels also spoke of sacred sound. In Hindu mysticism, it is called Nada Brahma, the world is sound. In Christian scripture, in the beginning was the Word. In Hermeticism, creation itself begins with a tone that fractures light into form. Angels, then, are not messengers of sound, they are sound, crystallized into intelligence. Their messages often reach us as frequencies, music that cannot be heard, yet moves the heart unmistakably. When one experiences a sudden, overwhelming sense of serenity or awe, it is often said that the soul has momentarily synchronized with this angelic vibration. For this reason, chanting, prayer, or even mindful silence can serve as gateways to angelic contact. When you pray with sincerity, your words rise as frequency ripples in the divine field. The angels, existing within that field, respond not to your vocabulary, but to the tone of your being. The prayer that sounds right vibrationally, one born of love, compassion, or surrender, transmits perfectly, no matter the language used. 2. Symbol, the geometry of heaven. The second layer of angelic communication is symbolic. Angels do not speak in sentences, but in symbols, geometric patterns, colors, numbers, dreams, and archetypes. Think of this as the geometry of consciousness. Just as musical notes form harmonies, symbols combine to create spiritual equations. The circle, for example, represents divine unity. The triangle, manifestation. The number 7, divine completion. When angels communicate, they often use such symbols to bypass the limits of logic and speak directly to intuition. This is why so many spiritual experiences are filled with visionary imagery, wheels within wheels, radiant beings, endless light. These are not hallucinations. They are symbolic transmissions. The human mind translates vibrational information into imagery it can comprehend. John Dee's Enochian tablets were precisely this: geometric and linguistic structures designed to focus consciousness upon specific frequencies. Modern science, interestingly, is beginning to echo this understanding. Quantum physicists describe the universe as patterns of energy vibrating within fields, exactly what mystics described thousands of years ago. In Kabbalistic terms, each angelic hierarchy corresponds to a specific sphere on the tree of life. Each sphere vibrates at a particular frequency of divine intelligence, mercy, justice, wisdom, or beauty. To call upon an angel, one must align inwardly with the principle that angel embodies. When one meditates on symbols, whether a sacred sigil, a geometric mandala, or even a repeated number pattern, what is really happening is an act of translation, decoding the language of vibration into a form your mind can hold. 3. Synchronicity, the grammar of the soul. The third layer of the angelic language is the most mysterious and the most easily missed: synchronicity. This is the punctuation of the divine, the subtle timing through which the universe communicates with exquisite precision. When you see recurring numbers, encounter a message that answers your inner question, or feel drawn to a specific symbol or person at just the right moment, you are witnessing the syntax of this language in motion. Carl Jung coined the term synchronicity to describe meaningful coincidences, but mystics have always known that these are not coincidences at all. They are direct communications from the angelic field, written into the fabric of time itself. You might ask, why such indirect communication? Why not simply speak to us in plain words? Because the angelic realm operates on a plane beyond linear thought. To compress its vastness into language would distort its essence. Instead, angels orchestrate circumstance, they align events, emotions, and intuitions into a coherent message. To the untrained eye, it appears random. To the awakened, it is divine conversation, the inner mechanics. At the heart of this communication lies one profound truth. The receiver must match the frequency of the sender. In other words, you cannot hear the angels unless your inner vibration resonates with theirs. Fear, anger, and chaos cloud the inner instrument. Love, peace, and humility refine it. This is why ancient mystics spent years in purification before attempting angelic contact. They understood that the language of angels cannot be learned through study, it must be remembered through transformation. To put it simply, angels do not communicate to you, they communicate through you. You are both the instrument and the interpreter. The more attuned you are to your higher self, the more clearly the divine frequencies resonate within you. This is why meditation, prayer, and sacred sound practices have always been central to spiritual traditions. They are the tuning forks of the soul. When your consciousness vibrates in harmony with love, compassion, and truth, the angelic frequencies naturally become audible, not as sound, but as knowing, intuition, and inner vision. Thus, the secret language of angels is not hidden from us, it is hidden within us. Every moment, it flows around you in the form of energy, symbol, and synchronicity. The challenge is not to find it, but to remember how to listen. In the next part, we will explore this language more deeply, its hidden structures, its relationship to light, number, and sacred geometry, and the way ancient mystics learned to interpret these celestial messages. Because once you understand how angels shape reality through vibration and pattern, you begin to see that every event in your life, every challenge, every coincidence is part of a vast, ongoing dialogue between your soul and the infinite. If the first part of this revelation shows us how angels communicate through vibration, symbol, and synchronicity, then this second part reveals why. For their language is not only a means of contact, it is the very architecture through which consciousness evolves. To understand the full scope of this, we must look beyond theology and enter the realm of cosmic linguistics, the study of how divine intelligence expresses itself through structure, number, and light. 1. The alphabet of light. Across spiritual traditions, we find repeated references to a sacred alphabet that predates all spoken language. The Hebrew Aleph Bet, the Sanskrit Devanagari, the runes of the Norse, and even the mysterious Enochian alphabet of John Dee, all are said to have descended from a single source, the language of light. What unites these alphabets is that each character corresponds to both a sound and a frequency of consciousness. When ancient priests recited holy mantras, they were not merely speaking, they were constructing energetic architecture in the invisible realms. Each syllable shaped light, which in turn shaped reality. This is why the Gospel of John begins, "In the beginning was the Word." The word, logos, does not mean speech, it means the ordering principle of the universe. The angels, then, are the builders who speak this word into motion. Their language is creative vibration. Each angelic being, according to esoteric cosmology, represents a particular letter of this universal alphabet. Archangel Michael is the vibration of protection and truth. Raphael, healing and restoration. Gabriel, revelation and divine message. When one invokes them, one is invoking a specific frequency of light that harmonizes the chaos of the lower worlds. The ancient mystics did not see these names as mere labels, they saw them as keys. To utter the name of an angel with pure intention was to align with that very principle of creation. In their view, speech was not descriptive, it was creative. 2. Number as the grammar of heaven. Where letters form vibration, numbers form structure. To the angels, numbers are not mathematics, they are geometry in motion. They are the laws through which divine intelligence organizes matter and energy. This is why nearly every sacred tradition associates angels with specific numbers. The Pythagoreans believe that number is the essence of all things. In Kabbalah, each letter has a numerical value, and thus each word conceals a vibrational code. When you repeatedly see numbers like 111, 222, or 333, you are witnessing the syntax of the angelic language, the mathematical rhythm through which spirit arranges coincidence. Each repeating number pattern carries its own frequency. 111, the opening of new consciousness, a direct alignment with divine will. 222. Harmony, balance, and partnership. The call to trust divine timing. 333. Communication and co-creation with higher beings. 444. Angelic protection and grounding of spiritual truth. 555. Transformation, initiation, and change guided by spirit. Such numbers are not random. They are like punctuation marks in the ongoing dialogue between your soul and the higher realms. When you notice them, your awareness becomes the translation tool. Recognition itself is the act of decoding. 3. Geometry, the blueprint of creation. If vibration is the sound of the angels, and number is their grammar, then geometry is their script. Every form in existence, from snowflakes to galaxies, follows patterns of sacred geometry. Circles, triangles, spirals, and stars are not just shapes, they are visual expressions of divine frequencies. Ancient mystics meditated upon these forms to align their consciousness with angelic order. The flower of life, for instance, was seen as the diagram of the angelic tongue, the pattern through which all creation emerges. The Metatron's cube, named after the highest archangel of geometry, was said to contain the blueprint of the universe, 13 spheres connected by lines of light, symbolizing unity within multiplicity. When you gaze upon sacred geometry, you are not merely looking, you are remembering. Your subconscious recognizes the pattern because your very soul was constructed from the same divine design. The angels speak through these forms because they bypass intellect and awaken resonance. The shapes vibrate in the language of your original being. This is why meditation upon geometry, or even tracing these symbols with mindful intention, can open profound states of insight. It reactivates the neural pathways through which divine intelligence once flowed freely. 4. The subtle medium, light and emotion. Now we come to the most overlooked aspect of the angelic language, emotion. Emotion, in its highest sense, is the human equivalent of angelic light. When you feel genuine compassion, gratitude, or awe, your emotional field vibrates at frequencies that are readable in the higher realms. Angels communicate not through your intellect, but through the subtle modulation of your emotional state. That sudden peace in the midst of chaos, that intuitive warmth that says, "This is right," those are not feelings you generate alone. They are signals sent through the heart, the bridge between human and divine perception. This is why angelic contact is often accompanied by sensations of warmth, tingling, or tears without sadness. Your nervous system translates light into sensation, much like the ear translates air pressure into sound. The heart, then, is the true translator of the angelic language. When you still the mind and open the heart, you are effectively turning the dial to the frequency of heaven. The angels speak in waves of light, and the heart feels them as love. Woo! Why the language was forgotten. At one time, humanity was fluent in this celestial communication. But as consciousness densified, moving from intuitive unity into the analytical fragmentation of the ego, we lost the ability to perceive vibration directly. Words became separate from meaning. Sound became noise. Yet the potential for remembrance never vanished. Every culture preserved fragments of this ancient language, chants, sacred alphabets, rituals, songs, and art forms, all designed to mirror the harmonic order of creation. These were not primitive superstitions, they were attempts to preserve resonance. Today, the reawakening of interest in angel numbers, sound healing, and sacred geometry is no coincidence. It is a collective remembering. Humanity is beginning to retune itself to the frequencies of higher intelligence once more. 6. The modern interpreter. To speak or hear the language of angels in the modern world does not require ritual or arcane knowledge. It requires alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions vibrate coherently with truth and compassion, you become an instrument of divine resonance. Intuition becomes fluent, synchronicities multiply, dreams clarify, life itself begins to speak. Every choice, every encounter, every random event unfolds like a sentence in the great book of your soul. The angels are not distant guardians, they are frequencies of your own higher awareness, guiding you toward harmony with the universal symphony. Their language is your forgotten mother tongue. Now that we have explored the metaphysical essence of the angelic language, its vibration, geometry, and symbolism, it is time to bring these insights down to earth. Because the language of angels is not meant to be studied like a dead tongue in an ancient book. It is meant to be lived. This section will reveal how you can attune your mind, heart, and body to perceive, understand, and even respond to the angelic frequencies that are always surrounding you. 1. The art of attunement. Every instrument must be tuned before it can produce harmony. You are no different. To hear the celestial language, you must first quiet the static of the lower mind, the fears, judgments, and distractions that dull perception. Practice. Find a silent place. Sit comfortably, spine upright, hands resting on your lap. Take a slow breath in through the nose and exhale gently through the mouth. With each exhale, imagine releasing the dense noise of thought. Continue until you can feel your heartbeat and breath move as one rhythm. Now, focus on the faint hum within your body, the subtle vibration behind the silence. This is your base frequency, the starting point of all angelic communication. As you breathe, imagine this inner vibration rising in tone, as though your entire being is becoming a resonant bell. The more still you become, the clearer the vibration grows. After several minutes, softly ask in your mind, if any being of light aligned with divine truth wishes to communicate, I am listening. Do not expect words. Instead, pay attention to sensations, warmth, chills, tingling, or sudden peace. These are confirmations. The angels speak not to your ears, but to your nervous system and intuition. The purpose of this practice is not to summon, it is to align. You are not calling angels down, you are raising your awareness upward to meet them. 2. Decoding synchronicities. Once you are attuned, the world begins to shimmer with meaning. You start to notice patterns, numbers, symbols, or coincidences that seem too perfect to ignore. These are not random, they are sentences in the language of synchronicity. Here is how to read them. Step 1. Pause and acknowledge. When something uncanny happens, a repeated number, a name that keeps appearing, a song that answers your thoughts, stop. Say inwardly, I see you. Recognition is the first act of translation. Step 2. Feel, don't analyze. Before you reach for logic, notice your emotion. Does the event feel like reassurance, warning, encouragement? Angels communicate through feeling first. Step 3. Assign symbolic value. Numbers, colors, and even animals each have energetic meanings. For example, white feathers equals divine protection. Butterflies equals transformation. Blue light or energy equals presence of Archangel Michael, truth, strength. 111 or 1111 equals new beginnings and awakening. Write these signs down in a synchronicity journal. Over time, you will begin to see patterns, personal codes that angels use specifically with you. 3. The practice of sacred sound. Sound is the bridge between the human and the divine. When you chant, hum, or speak words of truth, you generate frequency patterns that ripple into the higher realms. Daily sound exercise. Begin with a deep inhale. As you exhale, softly hum the tone, om or ah, allowing the sound to vibrate in your chest. Visualize the vibration as golden light expanding through your body and radiating outward. The sound ah is particularly powerful. It is present in the names of many divine beings: Yahweh, Allah, Brahma, Raphael, Michael. It is the open vowel of creation, symbolizing breath and life. Perform this for 3 minutes each morning. You will feel your emotional frequency lift. Over time, this practice strengthens your energetic field, making angelic communication more fluid and clear. 4. Sacred geometry meditation. You can also access angelic consciousness through visual vibration, meditation on sacred geometry. Method. Choose a sacred symbol, the flower of life, Metatron's cube, or a simple circle of light. Draw or print it. Sit before it in silence. Focus your gaze on the center of the pattern while breathing slowly. Imagine light pulsing from the symbol, resonating with your heartbeat. This synchronizes your brain waves with geometric order, allowing you to perceive reality with more coherence and harmony. You might begin to see faint colors or sense subtle energy movements around the form. This is your perception expanding into the symbolic dimension where angels communicate. Number 5. Invocation through emotion. To speak back to the angels, emotion is your language. Words matter little compared to the energy behind them. Here is a method of vibrational prayer. Think of an emotion you wish to transmit: love, gratitude, forgiveness. Feel it intensely in your heart, as if your entire being is glowing with it. Mentally project this feeling upward, visualizing it as a wave of light. Say something simple like, I send this light in harmony with divine will. This act is equivalent to sending a message in the angelic language. The angels read your emotion as tone, light, and intent. When done regularly, it transforms prayer from request to resonance, a dialogue between equals in the great orchestra of creation. 6. The language of dreams. Dreams are another sacred medium where angels often speak. When the conscious mind sleeps, the soul moves closer to the frequency of light, making translation easier. Dream integration technique. Keep a notebook by your bed. Before sleep, say aloud, "I open my dreams to divine communication for the highest good." When you wake, immediately write down whatever images or words come to mind. Do not interpret them right away. Look for recurring themes, colors, or numbers. Over time, a vocabulary forms your personal dream dictionary of angelic symbols. 7. Living the frequency. The ultimate goal is not to decode messages, but to become the message, to live as an instrument of divine resonance. When you act from integrity, compassion, and purpose, your entire vibration becomes angelic. You no longer wait for signs. You are the sign. Your presence calms, uplifts, and heals others not by effort, but by natural radiance. Every kind thought becomes a hymn. Every act of service becomes a prayer. Every breath becomes part of the celestial chorus. This is the real secret. The language of angels is not merely heard or spoken, it is embodied. It is the living frequency of unity expressed through your actions in the material world. 8. Common challenges. If communication feels blocked, remember, angels do not disappear, you simply shift frequency. Here are ways to realign. Ground yourself. Spend time in nature to release static energy. Forgive. Resentment lowers vibration more than any other emotion. Rest. Exhaustion, clouds, intuition. The language of angels requires a rested mind. Simplify. You do not need complex rituals. A quiet heart is enough. Through these practices, you will begin to notice something subtle yet profound. Life starts to arrange itself around your inner state. You will walk through ordinary days filled with extraordinary significance. The whisper of leaves becomes a message. The rhythm of footsteps aligns with your heartbeat. The entire world becomes a living scripture each moment, a syllable in the language of angels. In the final section, we will bring this journey to a close, summarizing the key truths and leaving you with a final message of remembrance. That the divine tongue you seek has always been your own soul, speaking to you in symbols of light. What if the whispers of the divine were never far away? What if every sound, symbol, and coincidence in your life were part of a secret dialogue between your soul and eternity itself? That is the true meaning of the language of angels. It is not something you learn, it is something you remember. Every human being is born fluent in this language. As children, we understood it instinctively, the way light danced on the walls, the songs we hummed without knowing why, the sense that something invisible was always watching over us. But as we grew, logic replaced wonder, and intellect silenced intuition. The melody faded, though it never truly disappeared. The angels never stopped speaking. We simply forgot how to listen. Throughout this exploration, we have uncovered the hidden mechanics of their language, vibration, geometry, synchronicity, number, light, and emotion. But these are only facets of a greater truth. All things in existence are expressions of one living frequency, the divine words still resonating through creation. When you begin to attune your life to this vibration through meditation, sacred sound, heartfelt emotion, and conscious awareness, you rejoin the conversation that has been unfolding since the beginning of time. The angels no longer feel distant or mythic. They become luminous presences woven into your daily life, guiding through intuition, confirming through signs, teaching through the heart. The key is not to seek them in the sky, but to awaken them within yourself. The part of you that yearns for light, that acts from love, that forgives instead of condemning, that is the angelic aspect of your being. Every act of kindness, every moment of stillness, every sincere prayer adds another phrase to your dialogue with the infinite. When you catch yourself noticing a repeating number, a feather on the path, a word that seems written just for you, pause, smile. You are reading sacred scripture written in the language of reality itself. You are not imagining it. You are being reminded that nothing is separate, that consciousness and cosmos are one great text, forever being spoken by love. The more you listen, the more fluent you become. You start to feel the rhythm behind ordinary events, the orchestration of something vast and benevolent moving through every detail. You realize that the universe is not silent at all. It is singing, endlessly, in chords of meaning and light. This realization transforms how you live. Problems become lessons in translation. Suffering becomes a refinement of tone. And every joy becomes an echo of the celestial harmony that gave you birth. The angel's true message is simple yet profound. You are not apart from the divine. You are part of its voice. Your thoughts, your emotions, your choices, these are syllables in the great sentence of creation. And when you align them with truth, compassion, and beauty, you add harmony to the eternal song. So tonight, when you close your eyes, listen closely, not for words, but for presence. Feel the vibration of your heartbeat, the hum behind the silence, the subtle pulse of awareness that has always been there. That is where the angels dwell. The language of angels is the language of the soul. And the soul's native tongue has only ever said one thing: you are loved, you are light, you are never alone. Carry that remembrance into your life. Let it guide your choices, soften your fears, and illuminate your path. Because in truth, every moment you live in awareness, gratitude, and love, you are already speaking the secret language of angels.